Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and back with another story sharing video. It's been a while since I did one of these. I enjoy doing them, but with all the stuff going on with holidays and birthdays and stuff like that, I just didn't really have time to sit down and do this. So let's do a new one. Today I want to talk about one of my very, very older stories. This is actually, I think it's my first story where I wrote a female lead as the main character. And it's also one of my first stories that was intended to be kind of an amalgamation of different concept ideas. I remember that when I was writing this story, I was very much inspired by shows like Supernatural, the anime Hellsing, particularly with Alexander Anderson, the character, but mostly from the game Witcher, believe it or not. The Witcher 3 game was probably the biggest inspiration for this, and you'll see why when we get into it. The story is called Night Angel, and the story works a little something like this. You have this girl named Rebecca Anderson, and you can see where Alexander Anderson's influence stepped in there. And the reason for Rebecca as the first name is because, believe it or not, that was actually the name my parents wanted to give me if I was born a girl, because they did not know until much later in the pregnancy which gender I would be. So, kind of crazy how that works. Anyway, so Rebecca Anderson is a young high school girl who loves going out at night. Not to party, though. She actually loves going out at night to hunt monsters. That's right. In this world, monsters exist, but most of the world doesn't know about them. You got your vampires, your werewolves, your zombies, your ghouls, your stuff like that. So there are lots of monsters, and the world doesn't know about them because they usually keep to the shadows, stay out at night only when people are asleep. So Rebecca goes around and hunts these monsters. She's very good at it, too. She uses several weapons at her disposal, particularly a bow and arrow, which I thought would be a cool idea if you had like a silver-tipped arrowhead that could kill monsters. I thought that was a cool idea. But one night, while she's out hunting, she comes across a group of vampires who are very scared of something. They're talking about how something is coming back. Something terrible is happening. And it's causing all the other monsters to go into fits, like it's causing movement in the monster world. So Rebecca goes in to take them out, but one of them, before he dies, tells her that she's a night angel. She doesn't know what that is. So she goes back to her father to ask questions. Her father is a pastor, but a former monster hunter himself. When he hears that she's called a night angel, he freaks out and has to leave. He says, I've got to go. I've got to make some calls. I've got to contact some people. I wasn't expecting this. Something big is happening. We'll talk about this later. I need you to look for someone. And he tells her to go look for a guy named Joshua Raines. So she goes on a little adventure to go find a young man named Joshua Raines. Joshua, it turns out, is a night angel too. And Joshua is the one who tells her essentially what a night angel is, because she doesn't know. He explains that way back in the day, when night angels were more common, it wasn't uncommon for monsters and humans to have intercourse, to breed. Usually the offspring is another monster, but on some rare occasions the offspring may be human, but with monster-like qualities, and that's what a night angel is. They were given that name because back in the day, these semi-human, semi-monster warriors were the best monster hunters you could ask for, so they were like protective angels of the night. Kind of like what a witcher is. You know, they have almost monster-like traits that allow them to hunt monsters, so that was the big inspiration there. Rebecca doesn't believe that at first because she's like, no, my mom may be dead, but I don't think she was a monster, and my dad's certainly not one. And he goes, no, your mom was a werewolf. What? It was kind of a shock to her. And at first she doesn't want to accept it, and I think that was one of the most fun parts about writing Rebecca, writing her attitude, writing her very believable reaction to things. She was very angry. She slapped Joshua, if I remember right, for saying that, like, how dare you say that about my mom. But she also can't deny that there's a nugget of truth to it. She noticed that she always preferred to be out at night, particularly under a full moon. Always enjoyed that more. She always felt like her senses were somehow heightened at night. She always kind of felt like there may have been some truth to that, but she just doesn't want to bring herself to accept it yet. Over time, though, she has to, because it turns out that the big evil that's showing up is an ancient god that's going to bring chaos to the world by restarting a brand new monster age. And Rebecca and Joshua have to stop him, but they need a weapon that can, because most conventional weapons won't stop this guy. So they're hunting down an ancient weapon from Asian folklore that they think will be able to kill him. I think what I really liked about building this story was the combination of different elements from different cultures and monsters and stories. Like you got an Asian folkloric weapon to kill a Middle Eastern Egyptian Coptic style god or deity, using Scandinavian and Polish style monster folklore in certain areas, and then just having different monsters from various different parts of the world all amalgamating into this one very cool, fun thriller monster hunting story. I got to involve other gods and deities in this. I got to throw in Artemis, believe it or not. I got to throw in Odin at one point. It was a lot of fun to build this story, but it wasn't without flaws. The biggest flaw, I think, was that I was still kind of new to writing, and I think that there were moments I might have made Rebecca a little bit of a Mary Sue. There were moments that were a little bit too convenient for her, I've got to admit. So that's always something I kind of look back on and was a little bit disappointed about, because I feel like I could have done that a lot better. I also feel like Joshua himself didn't get as much love as he really needed. I feel like I could have done a lot better with him. I didn't explore his character very much, which I should have. I really should have. I really did enjoy this story. I think my biggest problem, the biggest one, is that I'm almost done writing it. It's only got like a chapter left to go, or maybe two. And whenever I reach that point in writing a story, I always hesitate. I always slow down. I always stop. And the reason why is because I'm always scared to finish a story. It sounds really weird, doesn't it? I'm always scared to just wrap it up and to put the final period on it. It's almost like I feel like if I finish it, then a part of me says, no, all the fun's over. But, finishing a story is very important. Knowing how to close the curtain, knowing how to end the story is important. But a part of me always wanted to see Rebecca keep going with her adventures. I actually thought about doing a Night Angel sort of Monster of the Week kind of thing. Like each new short story is her hunting a new monster, or hunting some kind of new danger, or meeting some kind of new person. I thought that might be fun. Almost a Scooby-Doo style thing, only a little bit more gritty, or supernatural. Supernatural itself, the first season was a big inspiration for me. Every other episode was them hunting a new monster, hunting a new ghost or creature, and them having to solve the mystery of what the monster is, trying to figure out how to stop it. And then, of course, The Witcher was a huge inspiration, not only in terms of where the Night Angels came from, but also in, the detective work it takes to understand monsters. Because most people, normal people, are not going to know much about monsters. They're not going to know the details. So when you go to them saying, hey, you're telling me that there's some kind of strange thing happening, fill me in, tell me what's going on. Well, they may not have all the information. And so that is where she has to use some of her detective skills. And that came heavily from The Witcher. So there was a lot that I took and tried to make into this. And I think the biggest surprise for me was when writing Rebecca. Again, she was my first female lead character. I thought that she'd be very, very difficult to write. Surprisingly, she wasn't. I think writing some of her emotional aspects were difficult, but it also helped that I didn't write her with a whole lot of feminine stereotypical stuff. Like, she isn't boy crazy, she isn't out looking for a boyfriend, she's not a party girl, she's not obsessed with fashion. And so I almost wrote her as I would one of the guys, but as a chick. And I know that there's a place for that kind of story and for that kind of character, but I do admit that by writing her that way, it did open the way for her to have some Mary Sue-like qualities. There were times I forgot that this is a female and maybe she should have female-like qualities. I wrote a few in there. I did try to get in some emotional moments. I tried to get in some moments where she did sort of behave almost in a more feminine manner. But I feel like I didn't do it enough, and I feel like I sometimes let that slip. If you want to read the story, it is still available on DeviantArt. You can go look at it yourself and see what I'm talking about. But I will warn you, as I said, it is one of my oldest stories, one of the earliest ones I've written. So you're going to see a lot of writing problems in there. You're going to see a few grammatical errors. You're going to see a lot of weird storytelling points. You're going to see that this isn't my best work. It will probably never be published. Not unless I want to go back and try to rewrite it sometime, which, I'm tempted to do, but I don't see a lot of need in doing it right now, especially when I've got a lot of other things going on. But that is the story of the Night Angel. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm glad to be back doing these story sharing videos, and I hope that you guys have a great start to your week. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.
Go and train with her, then come back. It'll give me a chance to put my face on.
Of all the women I've known, you're the only one who does that before.
You've known many.
What's it matter? Only ever thought of you.